Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Zephyr Chung with Iris Diecast, and today we're going to be taking a look at my 1/18 scale Hyundai YF Sonata by CM models. So this is a very special model for me because uh, my dad's car is a 2011 Hyundai Sonata. So this is a model counterpart of the real car that I drive. I'm planning on painting the interior black and the exterior black to match the one my dad has. So it's a very special model for me. It's not a very common car, even here in South Korea. These usually go around 160,000 Korean won, which is slightly less than 160 US dollars. So these are quite rare. And like I said earlier with the Tucson video, I have no idea the model about the model manufacturer for this model. There isn't a clear name on the box or the bottom of the car, so I'm just labeling it as CM. I picked this car up used with the Tucson and another older Tucson, three for $10. So I got it for a really cheap price, but of course, this car is from a non-collector, so it's not in a very good shape. Uh, it's in a better shape than the Tucson, but all the plastic parts are like, I don't know, yellow. I don't know why it's yellow. Is it dust or sunlight? I'm not sure, but it's completely yellow, so I'm gonna have to work on that. And I have a cracked headlight over there, so but we'll get to that in a minute. So a brief introduction of the car. So Sonata is Hyundai's longest selling model. Um, it was the successor to the Stella in 1985, and this is the sixth generation YF. Now, when this car first came out, there was even, I mean, it was quite shocking because the design was a lot more um, aerodynamic and aggressive than its predecessor, which was the NF Sonata. There was even a word called Sonata shock in Japan because many people were shocked at how an average family sedan could become so um, unique in style. And like I said, this car caused quite a big um, design sensation in Japan, which is actually why many Japanese cars have a design that is inspired from this Sonata, like the Mazda 6, the latest generation Mazda 6 or Mazda Tenza, and the last generation Lexus GS has a very similar um, looking rear end uh, as as the YF Sonata. So, without further delay, let's get started with the model. This is the front of the Sonata. The design philosophy for this car was fluid sculpture, which means that it was supposed to integrate lines of nature into the car. And you can see they definitely use a lot of curves and very distinctive lines, very soft, curvy, distinctive lines along the car. And since my dad owned this wife Sonata for nearly 10 years now, one thing I can tell you how it looks in real life is that this grill here, it looks like some ancient creature from medieval times. And because it's made in chrome, uh, the actual car really stands out a lot. And apparently, a lot of people weren't too okay with that. So let's go ahead and look at the detail. Here are the headlamps. They're very nicely made. There's no the pegs are off to here, so and um they go along well with the rest of the bulbs and the patterns here, so I have no complaints with the headlamps. It looks very nice. Of course, the whole design point of the YF Sonata's front is this grille, this large grille um, made in chrome, and the fact that it's separated into three pieces right here, it makes it look like some kind of trilobite from medieval times. And they even got the smallest of details with the sensors right here. And of course, they use separate plastic parts for the fog lamps down here, although there are pegs inside them. Um, Unfortunately, though, while the individual attention to detail was not all that bad, the car itself looks slightly out of proportion. So this is a common problem with many Chinese diecast cars that were made in earlier times. But the car looks slightly out of proportion, and like there's too much room left down here. So while it gets the big picture right, it doesn't really look all that much like an actual YF Sonata. Here is the engine bay of the model. So basically, the baseline engine for the YF Sonata was a 2.0 liter gasoline four-cylinder, or you could get an optional 2.4 liter four-cylinder engine that was used in the Grandeur, also called the Zera as well. Apparently, this engine was replaced with a 2.0 turbo that produced 271 horsepower in later model years. This model comes with the top of the line 2.4 liter gasoline four-cylinder engine. This was an engine that had many defects with the cylinders and caused huge recalls for the models that had them. The detail on the engine is amazing. They did a really good job with it. All of it is in separate piece. The parts are done nicely. The finishing is done well with the color parts down here. But the best part was the Hyundai sticker logo and the all the things written on there, which were done really nicely and cleanly. I can't really get a good view because it's not the cameras can't get a good focus, but it's really well detailed, and I'm really impressed with the engine. One unfortunate thing is that it uses hinges, uh, which is a common thing for the cheaper diecast cars. Usually, more expensive cars have gas lifts also for the hoods. So here is the side of the car, and one thing I really like about the YF Sonata is this line which goes up, to the car. It's very, very smooth. It gives the car a very luxurious and sporty feeling, and that's actually the point of the design for this car. They wanted it to look like a four-door coupe, like the Mercedes CLS, although they didn't quite reach that point there. Unfortunately, these smooth lines gave the driver a very limited angle for the road, and especially this A pillar, which is very has a very is very horizontal. The A pillar blocks driver's view a lot, so apparently, taxi cab drivers weren't very happy with it, uh, which is why uh, con- Hyundai continued to produce the NF Sonata, its predecessor for the taxi market. Just a background information: most of the taxi cabs in Korea are Hyundai Sonatas, so this became a minor problem with the design. And one interesting feature in the side of the car is the functioning side mirrors. That's very nice. You don't get that in all that many models, although you have to be careful not to break them. The wheel designs are done pretty nicely too. This is the top of the line 18-inch rims, I think, and it looks smaller in the model than it does in the actual car. You got the disc brakes down there, pretty moderately detailed. So I guess the rims are also done pretty nicely. This car does have windows which stop the dust from getting into the car, and that's pretty nice. And usually with the cheaper cars, you have very large gaps between the opening part and the main body of the car, but not for this one. Even in the hood, between the doors Everything is done nicely. It's not too eye-catching or disturbing. It's quite well finished for a Chinese model, and that's really, really nice. This car does offer fully opening doors, so you can look at the interior. And it does have a pretty neat door angle to the front, opening door angle to the front, but a mediocre door opening angle for the rear. Um, I think the opening angle for the doors is very important because it lets you look inside the interior better. The interior of the car is done really nicely. It's in this beautiful beige color. Actually, I haven't really seen all that many YF Sonatas with a beige interior because it's mostly black or gray like ours. The everything is done really nicely. I love how they put a great attention to detail with the central console, central monitor, and the radio buttons underneath it. They're done really nicely and cleanly. And of course, they did a really good job with the speed theometer, and this time they did a really nice job with the steering wheel. It looks exactly as it's supposed to do, as it is in the real car, and the buttons are done nicely. The the door trims are done pretty cleanly. We have carpet down here. The interior was really nice for me. The seats are also pretty good. They express the texture difference in the seats pretty well, and it's pretty nice. Can't really get a good view inside there, but they even got the storage compartment there in the YF Sonata that opens and you can put some storage in there. And I love how they express that. Not much to see in the rear seats. There's no special quirks and features, but it's done really nicely, and it just looks a lot. It just looks very nice. Here is the top of the car. I'm not really sure if the YF Sonata came with these huge panoramic sunroofs. Ours is a base model, but you can see the interior through the sunroof, so that's pretty nice. Here is the rear of the model. The rear is also pretty well made. They did an okay job with the rear lamps, but like the Tucson, they put the pegs over here, uh, along with the line of the trunk, so it makes the car look like it makes it look like the light is broken. Um, I have no idea why they did that. So Chinese models, I think, like they like to move pegs over to the sides instead of just smacking them on like Mastos. And while that does work in some cases, um, putting them where the trunk line is, that's definitely not an ideal choice. Um, you can tell this is an earlier Sonata because the rear indicator is here. The later models have LED tail lamps and the indicators down here. They did a okay job with the Hyundai logo, which is an emblem, not stickered. That's what I'm looking for. Uh, the car logos are also made out of emblem, not just simple stickers. So that was pretty sweet. We got um the mufflers down here, usually cheaper models. The finishing is not very clean, and there's bits of chrome on them, but not for this car. It's done really cleanly and nicely. You got the rear lamps down here with the pegs in them, but I'm just glad that they just didn't paint it on like some of the cheaper diecast cars will. I'm not sure if it's just me, but the rear seems oddly too small compared to the actual car. Like I'm pretty sure the Sonata has a bigger trunk space than this. You can see what I meant about the weird car proportions. The rear is very short compared to the front. The front is like this large, but the rear is only this long. You get what I mean by weird proportions for this car. It doesn't look very real, like a real car. We have opening trunks. Not much to see in there. We have carpet inside there, no spare tire, like some of the earlier Korean cars we saw. hinge types. Here is the bottom of the car. It's done nicely. I think this is a tire, I'm not sure. They got these things. Mazda usually do these in chrome, so they're very flashy, but I like it with the silver painted plastic. It's a lot better. I love how they used chrome parts for the exhausts though. I think it's very well made undercarriage. So that's it, my review on the 118 scale Hyundai YF Sonata. The strength of this car is that you can own a 118 Sonata. So Hyundais are not very common models, you know. And another strength would be that the attention to detail they put in the engine bay and the interior, while the drawbacks would be the weird proportions um, in the front and the rear. Um, I've stumbled a bit on this video. The filming wasn't very straight because I was trying to film this in a hurry. I'll make sure to improve my video quality for the next video. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, click like and subscribe. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. Tell me what I should work on, and I'll see you guys later then.